Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I've got a few new pads from EspTiger. My favorite of the three design-wise is the ChengYing. You guys can see just off the bat, the thing is absolutely beautiful on my desktop. The designs they're coming out with are absolutely heat, and it's just so artistic and so different than what we're used to. I think it looks very good. It's almost just like this flow of paint on the pad, and because it is a photolithographic resin, the design just pops out much more than your typical glass pad, which has that panel on top and then the design underneath popping through the glass panel. Overall, the effect of the pad, it's going to be like a glass pad, but for a fraction of the cost. This 480 by 400 pad is only $40 on AddisInc.com. This thing performs like a glass pad in the sense that initial friction is going to be on the low side, dynamic friction is nice, fast and open, and then static friction as well feels very open. But you get the sense of control on the pad that, for me, the performance in game was absolutely phenomenal. Taking it in Apex, taking it in games that require some fast flicks as well as tracking, like Call of Duty Resurgence. Everything just feels very good from a performance perspective. But again, it's going to be most similar to a glass experience. One thing you'll notice when you get the pad initially is that your skin does kind of have this like peeling off effect when you place your hand on the pad and kind of lift up. It's almost like an adhesive being pulled from something, but your hand isn't really sticking to the pad and your arm moves much more freely and flows much easier than as if it was on a glass pad. My arm moves like butter on this thing, and I would absolutely never need a sleeve. I have a very humid climate. Humidity did not affect my experience on this pad at all. It was a pad that my performance was very dependent on the mouse and the skates that I was using, and I performed extremely well on my Boardsy and J Donut combination on this particular pad, as well as larger mice with skates like Obsidian's. Keep in mind, it's going to be a fast experience. It's going to be an experience like glass, but for a fraction of the cost with a design that just looks very artistic and pops a whole lot more. Up next is the QingSui BaiLu. I probably absolutely butchered that name, but again, it's another 480 by 430 pad. For me, this is a little bit too big of what I like. I don't really like having a lot of height on my mouse pads. This is 6mm, so it's something that's very comfortable, but it just sits very, very high. It is a natural rubber base, and I would say the pad most likely resembles a Vaxi PA or a Zowie GSR SE. It's kind of that old school cloth feel, but one that performs very well, one that's very typical of what we are used to from previous generations of pads, but ones that still perform exceptionally well today, again, like the GSR SE as well as the Vaxi PA. For me, with J Donuts, it does perform quite fast, and when I move over to something that has a large, more fitted skate on my G Pro Superlight, it does still feel very nice, fast, and open, and I would put the speed just a tick higher than something like the PA and the GSR SE. It feels a little bit faster to me than the PA. I haven't played long enough on this pad to test its durability, but I do think that it will probably hold up like a Vaxi PA. To me, it feels very good, and if you're looking for something with a nice design like this, you're looking for something with a little bit thicker foam, with that rubber base, and you're looking for something a little bit faster, but very similar to a Vaxi PA, this pad is very good, and obviously I perform very well on the PA. I'm going to perform very well on this pad as well. And last but not least, I have the EspTiger QingSui XuanNiao. I probably butchered that name as well, but again, it's just a beautiful looking pad that has a similar design as the first Resin pad. It's just, again, it's got that flow of paint look across the pad, this celestial looking design with just beautiful colors throughout the entirety of the pad. This pad does have stitching, unlike the 6mm pad, and the stitching is very high quality. I have no complaints at all, with the surface feeling at about the same level as the stitching itself. It's got a natural rubber base that does not move around on my desk, and the foam, I would say, has the density of about an in-between of a soft and an X-soft. It has a nice rebound back up to its original position if you ever start digging into the pad. The pad that this is most going to resemble is a Riz from the Whale or La Shop. It has a very, very tightly woven knit, so it has a very buttery smooth feel to it. I love that feeling on the Riz, and I love that feeling on this pad. The little differences in speed are going to be dynamic is going to feel a little less open than something like the monochrome doodle Riz. So it feels like it has a little bit more control with Jade Donuts or dots. And it does have a feeling that it has a little more control on static friction than the monochrome doodle. With form-fitted skates, again, dynamic feels absolutely great. Everything feels open. I never get this sense of tug. It does have more control than the other two pads in this video. And then when you get down to static and those very slow movements, it just feels very nice and controlled. And again, I never really get this sense of tug slowing me down on this pad, although it does have a sense when you are shifting positions where you can feel a little bit of it, of course, more so in comparison to a glass pad or the resin pad. Overall, if you're looking for a new control pad with an awesome design, this thing is absolutely insane. It's $30 for a 480 by 400 pad that has performance that is similar to, in my opinion, similar to a monochrome doodle Riz. I think this thing is awesome in game, played very well with it, and again, for the prices of each of these three pads shown in this video, they're literally on the lower side of the market of everything else in comparison to the things in those categories. So it's hard to really like knock these pads where they are for their price point to performance ratio. I think the most compelling purchase out of all three that I tested, although I like all of them, the ChengYing I think is the one that is the most unique. It's a resin pad that kind of mirrors that performance of glass. Easier on the arm, which I think a lot of people are going to like. It's a fraction of the cost of glass pads, and it is a pad that you don't have to worry about those like scratchy feelings of glass. I don't have PTFE dust floating off my skates and that grind on glide sometimes where I find myself constantly cleaning glass. It's a nice fast feeling but still maintains control, and it's just a little bit more comfortable than glass because it has like this cloth layer underneath where you can hear as you pick up the mouse. It's just less audible and a little bit more forgiving and comfortable of a user experience on this particular pad. I think it looks beautiful, and I think it played very well for me in particular. But again, it's going to be an experience that's similar to glass. If you hate glass or hard pads in general, I don't know that you would like this pad other than its stunning aesthetic. But it does perform well in game for me. That's going to be it for this one, guys. I hope it helped. Just an introduction into the three pads I was sent. I don't have hours and oodles of time into the pads because I've still been in between testing different IEMs. But I have at least 2 to 3 play sessions on each of the pads, which probably lasted between 5 to 8 hours or more. And again, I had an enjoyable playing experience and was able to perform well on all three of them. I hope it helped, guys. If it did, please leave a sub to the channel. See you guys in the next review. Peace.